So I want to know, though, Ante, right? You
Yeah.
talked about the guys that don't know what they're talking about, those draft analysts. But you do, right? You play college basketball. You understand it. You get the
Yeah.
game. So
Yeah.
let's look at the top 3 picks.
Yep.
Who do you think they'll be? Let's refresh everybody's memory in terms of who's selecting and who they will be in your estimation. Your top 3 mock draft.
So, yeah, in the top 3, I think the NBA has been shifting. Obviously, we saw a Frenchman go first in the draft last year with Wemby. He's great. He's going to continue to be great. This year is going to be more of the same. We're going to see another Frenchman taken with the first pick. I believe that Frenchman is going to be Zachary Recherche from France. He's a 6'8" guard. He's really athletic, has a lot of length, not too big of a shooter, but they'll get that. He'll grow that as the game kind of goes. He reminds me of a lot of the tall, big guards that we see coming to the draft where shooting is really kind of not their thing, but later on they can really end up doing it at a big level. So I think he's going to be a great player because he finishes at the rim extremely well. He guards. He's active on the floor, and he is a guy that can be a leader. I know we've been talking about leadership a lot in this episode. I think he's a guy that at a young age was tasked to be a leader of his professional team out in France, and I think we're going to see more of that out of him throughout this process and throughout his NBA career. Now, 2 is going to be another Frenchman. I know I sound like a broken clock, but it's going to be Alex Sarr, the guy who was pegged to be the number 1 pick throughout the whole entire process, who's kind of fallen to be the number 2 guy, maybe because the Hawks see something that they like with Recherche. That's not a knock on Alex Sarr. I think he's a great big. Now, he's not Wemby. He's 7'1", and he plays the power forward position because he really can kind of stretch out the floor with really just putting the ball on the deck. He can dribble, he can pass, he can finish at the rim, he can shoot it out to 15 a little bit, but we really want to be able to see him shoot it out to 3, and I think that's going to be the next evolution of his game. Now, once again, he is not Wembanyama. That guy is special. But this guy is pretty good. And then 3rd, we're going to finally see an American kid. Reed Shepherd is what I'm projecting to go to the Houston Rockets. I think the Houston Rockets are really looking for a guard. Now, there could be a possibility. I think this is the time where we will see our first trade in the in the NBA draft. I think the Houston Rockets have a team that really needs another veteran to step into the fold. They have a lot of young guys with Jalen Green and a lot of their other young picks that they have. So I think they're really going to look to get a guy on the wing really at the 3 in some type of trade details. Maybe they try to package this to get Paul George or something like that. But I think Reed Shepherd, if they were to take this pick, would be the guy they should take. He can shoot the ball extremely well. He shot 52% from 3, Adam, as a freshman at Kentucky. And he's a really good playmaker and a hard-nosed defender. He was one of the top guards in the entire NCAA in steals. So I think he would be a great, young, heady, IQ, athletic guard that they can take at the 3 spot.
Yeah, and you're talking about a couple of teams, Houston and Atlanta, are on the cusp, right, of postseason spot this past season. I mean, Houston finished 41-41. You had a top pick or even a veteran, like you said, in the trade. I mean, you could be off and running. As far as the Celtics, again, the 30th pick in the draft. There's not a lot of buzz about the NBA draft here in Boston. We're still popping champagne bottles here, but who do you think they select?
Yeah, I think the Celtics are going to select Kyle Filipkowski. I know there's been a ton of talk about Zach Edey being at that spot. I've been seeing his name.
Yeah, your boy Travis Thomas is all in on Edey, man.
Yeah, and I've seen that name floated around a lot, but I think he's going to end up being higher. I think he might end up being a lottery pick. I've seen him as early as 7 and as late as about 27. So this range is crazy, but I think he's going to go a lot earlier than what people expect. So I'm going to take Kyle Filipkowski, and I hope the Celtics do as well if he ends up landing at that spot from Duke. Another big man, kind of like KP. KP is going to be the one guy of this group, probably the first guy to leave this Celtics group, unfortunately, because of the way the money works in the NBA. And they're looking at the fact that they've won without him. He's probably the most replaceable I hate to say it, of this group. So in order to replace that, they probably need to bring in a young guy who they can put in the G League. He can work on his game. He shot about 35% from three over his years at Duke. He spent 2 years there. So he's a good shooter, but he's really able to do a lot of the same things KP can do because he bangs in the post as well. He will fight you. He will claw for a rebound. He blocks shots, and he's a Duke kid. So you know that he's hard-nosed, unfortunately. You know, everybody doesn't love Duke, but that is one thing that is all true about their players, man, especially their big men. They're hard-nosed.
All right, so last thing, because we got to get moving. Bronny James.
Yep.
Celtics going to snag him in the second round?
No, and it's not because I don't think Bronny's a good player. I think there's other guys that are better than him that can bring a lot more value to this Celtics team. I think Bronny probably goes 55 to the Lakers. I think that's where the landing place is. It's all kind of a marriage. Him, JJ Redick, his dad, LeBron James, they all end up in Lakerland, and there's a happily ever after documentary that we got to watch in 10 years.
All right, man. But our guy, Jacob Carmichael, says the Celtics, they need to snag Bronny James and then see how bad the Lakers want him. As for Max Christie, by the way, no relation to Doug Christie. I get that a lot, right, with Max Christie. People are like, hey, is he? No, he's not related to Doug Christie. It's not the same family. But with that said, Ountae has weighed in on the Bronny James draft situation. Celtics are not in on that. All right. Now, before we go, I want to do this quickly. This is fun. All right, some of the best players who were steals in the NBA draft. All right, Who are your three?
I'll run through my three really quickly. So I got Giannis. I think he was a huge steal in the 2013 draft. He went 15th at the 13th spot. They took Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah,
Dallas drafted
the
him
clinic
and sent him to Boston. I can't rock with that one. All right, 2011, 15th pick as well. Kawhi Leonard. The Morris twins were took at 13 and 14 before him. Phoenix, Houston, what are you doing? You missed out on a generational talent. Like, come on. And then last, my biggest steal from the draft has to be Ginobili. He was taken with the 57th pick in the 1999 draft. He's a Hall of Famer, 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and a 4-time NBA champion. So those are my three. What about yours?
All right. So I'm going to go with a pretty obvious one with Nikola Jokic. Obviously the 41st selection. I mean, are you kidding me, right? Like, that's crazy that he slipped all the way down there. I'm going to go with actually number one I had was Steph Curry. I mean, I know he was selected 7th overall.
Yeah.
But looking at the 2009 draft class, all right, I have it in front of me now. Blake Griffin, number 1 overall. Hasheem Thabeet was number 2. Ountae. All right. James Harden, Tyreek Evans, Ricky Rubio, Johnny Flynn from Syracuse was 6. All right. And it's fun, right? And again, like, nobody knew at the time that Steph was going to be what he is, but still. And then I got to go with the late, great Hall of Fame, Kobe Bryant, 13th overall. I know he was coming out of high school at the time, and those are always a crapshoot. But, I mean, considering what he became, 13th overall, Kobe Bryant, I mean, that to me, is just – and then I looked at another one too, an honorable mention, Karl Malone was 13th as well in the NBA draft. So those are some names.